Namaste viewers, welcome to Gnana channel. In this episode, we will try to understand the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. This is the 49th Yoga Sutra from Vibhuti Pada. Let us try to understand it a little more deeper. But before we go to the details, I request you to please like, share and then subscribe to my channel. So now coming back to the sutra says Tatho Manojavitam vikaraṇa-bhāvaḥ pradhāna-jayaḥ. So now we'll go through the word by word meaning, then go to the total summary of this, and then with some examples and things like that. Tataḥ means here subsequently. Tataḥ refers to subsequently. And manojavitam means swiftness or speed of the mind, from manas, that is mind. Javita means speed, manojavitam. Vikarana-bhāvaḥ. Vikarana means freedom from dependence or sense organs. So that is something like dispersion of external sensory functions. Pradhāna-jayaḥ. Conquest of mastery over pradhana, that is the subtle material cause of this universe. Pradhāna-jayaḥ. Cha, and it is in the sentence, cha is used always. Now, subsequently, the translation would be subsequently the yogi attains the swiftness of mind. He becomes independent of the sensory instruments and gains mastery over pradhana, the subtle essence of the matter. Now, some kind of a let us try to elaborate what exactly this means. So this sutra describes the extraordinary accomplishments that of a yogi who has perfected in all this samadhi. He has mastered all whatever stages of meditation and restraint that we have discussed earlier in our video talks, that he has undergone, perfected those steps, and then he has got extraordinary accomplishments. After the yogi attains perfection in Samyama. Samyama is the combined discipline of dharana, dhyana and samadhi. Certain higher powers of or siddhis, what they call, unfold naturally. They are byproducts. You start getting those siddhis. But these are not the goals of yoga, but byproducts of spiritual refinement. Now, Manojavitvam means, what is that Manojavitvam? The yogi's perception, yogi's understanding, yogi's awareness. They move as swiftly as the mind itself. So mind, there is a question, immediately there is an answer. If there is something, he transcends the limitations of time and space. Immediate. His thought and movements become one. Distant and delay cease to exist for him. So now whenever we want to understand a subject, we take some time. We have to study that and then understand it. Then the mind has to make some form out of it. But here, in this case, his thoughts and movements, they are all focused on one aspect, and the distance and delay cause to exist for him. There is no cease to exist. There is no immediately he is grasping. Ekasandigrahi, that is that kind of a thing. In the yogic experiences, this kind of a state refers to the ability to instantaneously reach or perceive any place or object by directing mental energy. As consciousness is no longer confined to the physical body, it is not tied to this physical body consciousness, therefore it can travel, therefore it can go anywhere, anytime, any moment it can go. That is the thing. Vikarana-bhāvaḥ, that means independence from the senses. The yogi becomes free from reliance on the physical sense organs, eyes, ears, etc. He need not, supposing if he wants to see an object, he need not go through the eyes. Supposing if he want to feel the object, he did not go through his sense organs, nothing. He doesn't have to rely on eyes, ears, nose, throat, all those things. His perception, rather, his perceivable capacity becomes direct, that is aparoksha. He can see without eyes. He can hear without ears. He can feel without skin. This is how he develops. This happens when the indriya sense energies are withdrawn and absorbed into the mind through pratyahara, then transcended through dhyana. This is how it happens. So now there is one more word known as pradhāna-jayaḥ, mastery over the material cause. Pradhāna-jayaḥ. Pradhana refers to the primary or primal matter, prakriti, the root material of creation in Sankhya philosophy. What is that? Panchikruta, all those kinds of things, Sankhya philosophy, creation of material. To master pradhana means to transcend material nature itself, no longer being influenced by its trigunas, sattva, rajas, tamoguna. He is crossed all these limits also. Such a yogi is free from the cycle of birth and death, beyond the forces of cause and effect. This is the thing. There are a lot of commentaries by Vyasa Maharshi. He says, he interprets this sutra as describing the yogi's entry into Kaivalya Prapti. He is trying to enter into the Kaivalya Prapti, where mind, matter lose their binding influence. The mind moves without obstacle, and the yogi will operate. He will operate instantaneously. Yogi's will operate. Yogi will operate, yogis will, everything will operate instantaneously, immediately. Now Vachaspati Mishra also in his Tattva Vicharade, he says, Manojavitvam indicates control over Akasha. The yogi can project consciousness beyond the limits of the body. That is what he interprets this sutra. In the Sudhakara, Yoga Sudhakara by Sadashiva Brahmendra, he explains that when the yogi attains the perfection of the subtle body, Kaya Sampat, from the previous sutra, we have seen that, the nadis become luminous and pure, enabling thought to manifest as action immediately. The yogi no longer acts through sense organs, but through pure Ichcha Shakti, willpower, which itself becomes creative energy. Ichcha Shakti will become creative energy. Ichcha Shakti, Kriya Shakti it becomes. Like this. The Yoga Vasishta also, in the Utpatti Prakarana, sage Vasishta describes similar states of consciousness where the mind when it is fully pure, it moves faster than the wind and pervades all space. It can immediately go anywhere, everywhere, without any hurdles. Chittam Shuddham Sada Muktam Yatra Yatra Sthitam Tatra Tatra Gacchati. The pure mind is ever liberated. Wherever it tends to go, it can go. It reaches instantly. This clearly mirrors the conception of Manojavitvam in Patanjali Sutra. The liberated consciousness moves unhindered through all planes, all realms. So now, how do we correlate this with the modern research? In modern psychology and consciousness, studies, this verse has been linked with, you can link it like this, in extrasensory perception, what is called as ESP, extrasensory perception, and remote viewing experiments. Reports from advanced meditators like in the TM and Vipassana traditions of instantaneous awareness, expansion beyond spatial limits. Then the yogic idea of thought transmission and telepathy, where communication happens directly through mental energy. Scientific attempts like those of Swami Rama at the Menninger Foundation documented extraordinary control of bodily functions and mental focus, giving a glimpse of what yogic Manojavitvam could represent in physiological terms. So the summary is, through Samyama, the yogi refines his inner faculties until mind becomes instantaneous, Manojavitvam, senses become redundant, vikaraṇa-bhāvaḥ, no longer required, senses no longer required, mind directly in contact with the object, things like that, and matter and nature lose their hold, pradhāna-jayaḥ, matter and nature lose their hold. So this marks the threshold of liberation, Kaivalya, where consciousness shines in its pure, independent nature. So the essence is, when the yogi's mind becomes as swift as light, his senses withdraw into self, and he transcends material nature, he stands on the doorstep of liberation. Viewers, with this explanation for the sutra, we can conclude this episode. Please like, share, and then subscribe to our channel. Please post your comments in the comment box after having gone through the video talk completely. Thank you, viewers, for your valuable time in listening to this. Thank you.